All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to some Factorio. Where am I on here? Yeah. All right, where we have our host, MisterTanuki,
Hey,
and and subject matter expert, Dave the FoxMage.
hey.
All right, so we were doing something at some point that.
Um, all right, I'm still working on the artificial peninsula. Actually, if I remember correctly, we theoretically could make it to space this session if we beeline for it.
which I have been kind of beelining towards.
Yep, yeah, I see we're researching low density now, which is kind of necessary for it.
Low density going processing unit,
Yep,
rocket fuel,
You are.
rocket silo.
yep.
I need to see.
Hey, got an achievement.
Huzzah!
Okay, is rocket silo the all the one we need? Space platform. We'll eventually need that, but that's
Yeah,
done by something.
yep.
Yeah, actually, I
If I
think it is.
remember correctly, as soon as you launch the rocket, you get. Well, actually, I don't remember for sure.
Right now, I think it actually is just what we need is rocket silo. Because I was like, oh, is that really the one thing we need? Is it? Is it? It looks like it is.
For now, I think it is. Yep.
So that would get us to space. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on that. The thing is, right now it's like, okay, how many sciences do I have that we're not making that we have the ability to make? I don't think I have any yet, but I think I was starting to work on trying to look into purple. I don't
Purple
remember.
science is really handy.
Oh, it's on the technology tree. I just got to look into what goes into making it.
Yep.
Okay, let's see.
Oh, good lord.
And
I see what goes into making it. Oh, fuzzy shit. That's gonna suck.
what we need.
Rails, electric furnaces, and productivity modules.
Okay.
Mostly look at the number of rails it requires.
30.
Yep. And here's the thing every one of those, but basically, your bottleneck is going to be steel.
That's why. Can't.
There are ways to fix that later, but at
Stone,
least in the
steel,
beginning,
iron.
your bottleneck will 100% be steel making those. At least mine always is.
Now we have steel down here that's currently backed up. We could expand this. Where's the steel coming from? I'm gonna make sure we're. Yeah, that's coming from these mines here. And this entire thing could be so much more efficient, but that's not now me's problem.
Where's this belt going? Um, all right, we did set up defenses down at the, yeah.
Okay, that brings fuel over here to fire these. You are still coal-fired. Oh, you have a extended.
For now, I'm choosing to focus on.
could up this a little bit, but let's see. Because we need what, an electric furnace, you said?
For
This is for
purple?
purple.
Yeah, you need electric.
Purple isn't on my priorities at the moment. It's one I'm quote unquote planning.
Okay.
Right now my focus is getting us to space, which means we need we're almost done with low density. We need God, I'm trying to do the math and the headache from the approaching weather is not making it easy. We need times 300 for processing units and another times 300 at 45 seconds of shot for rocket fuel, and then times 1,000 at 60 for silo.
Yep. The nice thing is that, or the nice thing that the purple productivity research gives you, or production research, or whatever, is it will give you the ability to say, like, okay, I would like to increase my steel productivity, which gives you a global, like a global bonus to the amount of steel that gets produced for a given amount of materials.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing as you'd like mining productivity, only for steel. There's also plastic productivity, which is the same thing for plastic, and it's really helpful when you want to scale up later.
That's
Right now, we need to find a way to increase our steel production by a lot. Ah, crap! This thing's out of copper. Which means I have this thing that I need to. Oh. Yeah, you're happy there. You work happy there. Ah, there's one thing I need to check. Oh, good God. Our pollution cloud is growing a lot.
Yep, it
it
will.
tends to do that, yeah. And this is to make you.
Right
Right,
now, we
LDS
have.
is researched.
There's a couple hives I'm worried about. Like, we have hives at our borders I'm a little worried about.
Okay, well, let's burn through all of the backlog there.
So since you guys are actually using stone for other production, I'm going to go ahead and I actually am making landfill elsewhere as well. That's actually way faster. I'm going to go ahead and stop taking the patch up here for landfill.
Okay.
I use it for a few things right
Why
now.
is this a splitter? Why is this not just one big thing?
Right.
I guess it
That and
means. I guess it
that could
means
be
that
any.
50% priority to these two, and then the other 50% to these five. Okay, anyways, I think I need to increase iron production. iron coming through here.
Some of these things have splitters because that's how to get them. That was how to get them where they needed to go at the time.
Yep.
Okay,
Let's see, we
so
did this.
there's some hives at the edge that are a problem. I have a lot of ammo and a submachine gun. Let's go see if there's this one that looks to be too damn building. Let's go take a look and try to deal with it.
To be in here. Do that.
All right, I'm going to come up and snag kind of a bunch of iron. Just quickly here.
Okay, so if I have that one going, then I shouldn't need at least one of these. Maintain. Okay, so what I can do now is put this. Actually, looks like that's doing well.
It hurts.
Need I need at least one more of these. That. That.
That's the smallest hive down. Why is this so little time?
And I come here. Do that. Can I get rid of this? Okay, so I think the next thing, if I can get this one up here, that would be a big deal. Uh, want this. Okay, so that's all working. Maybe we'll just take this all. Yeah, that's
I have a couple of guns on each side of the southern. We have some on the thinking I might want to put.
yeah, it's still good. I will.
do in fact want to extend this. I'd like to make a few more.
So that's backed up, that's backed up. This is not, so we really realistically need to expand this.
Get this started.
Okay. Now let's see. First off, yeah. Oh.
E opens up my inventory. Okay. Oh yeah, I need to build power structure in this area. See if I can find something. Don't want to take a couple of trees ought to do just fine. Hello?
Yep.
Okay. My internet's been doing something weird lately, so I wanted to be sure I was still okay.
Well, with all the wind and everything we've had lately, and not too surprising.
Yep.
Well, it's more my actual operating system is deciding, hey, I'm not connected to your internet.
Oh, like it's losing connection to the network itself?
Yeah, well, no, not just that. It outright disconnects itself from my Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
If it did,
Okay.
Which apparently is a thing that can happen.
I mean, it can?
Now, keep in mind, it just started, so it could have been like some sort of weird-ass update.
Yep.
I don't know. That'd be a little surprising. Not impossible, but surprising.
Wait.
Hmm?
Oh, I'm just looking here at our like engine block setup, and it's like I have two engine block machines being fed from one steel line, and then there's one machine that's fed from a second one in the other direction, which ultimately hooks back into the same iron plate stuff. And
Yeah,
it's
that
like,
was done to get the iron plates and the conveyor belts to go a certain way.
yeah, I'm sure it was. I, so I'm just looking at it and going, this is no longer the efficient way to do this. But if I could move that down there, let's see, I could move that there. I could scoot these over, put that to there. And we could condense all this quite a bit, but it is working, so I don't want to start ripping stuff up that's working. But
I know that feeling.
but at the same time, it's like if we want to automate purple science, we're going to need this line and that line and this line to all connect, and this is going to have to go around all of this to do that.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, so I've added in some extra defenses
ooh.
because we have two sizable hives up there.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, what worries me is that top hive. There's a lot of little dots. I don't know what that is.
Little single dots are probably worms.
I don't know if those are biters or worms.
If they're not moving, they're worms. For the most part, if they display on the map, they're worms.
That's a lot of worms then.
Yep.
My God, that's horrifying. You laugh. We're gonna have to deal with it eventually.
Oh yeah.
And that'll be fun when we do.
No, no, it won't. Oh,
Let's see. I'm trying to remember. I think artillery, you need to go to another planet before you can research artillery now, if I remember correctly.
ew, that's not fun.
Oh, we're not. Okay, there's no way we're going to get to another planet tonight, but we're not terribly far away from it.
A good copper deposit up there near them too. So the reason I bring up that's no fun is because I have a penchant for when I play games with guns and weaponry.
Mm-hmm.
I like the automatic stuff, and I like the stuff that roars. Like you hear this thing bellow a mile away, and the sheer raving destruction it causes is awe-inspiring and monolithic.
I mean, eventually we'll be able to make an entire railroad of artillery wagons.
That's good. I
I
will
think that
probably
should count, or I think that would qualify.
yeah. Um, let's put it this way: in shooter games, like let's take a popular one, Halo. I liked being armed with a rifle of some sort and a rocket launcher.
Mm. See, I'm surprised you weren't more into the fuel rod cannon.
That too.
And that just ammunition for that was a little too scarce to
Yeah.
be a primary weapon system.
Honestly,
So.
for me, my preference, if I could get it, now this is specifically Halo 2, my preference, if I could get it, was the Brute Shot and Sniper Rifle.
Yep, that was a good one. Okay, let's see. Oh, what? That? You're coming from the wrong direction.
Our pollution cloud will, at least the southern portion of our pollution cloud, will dissipate a
Oh.
bit when I'm done with my stone mining.
Yeah, that one. I'm not too worried about. It's up there.
Oh. Well.
That's why I added in some extra defenses there. If I need to, there's a few squares away of pollution yet, so they're closer up there. That's why I added in the extra defenses, and I'm looking at the map to try to figure some stuff out.
Like, let me put it this way, just by way of like, this is how much pollution this mining outpost is putting out or is causing. Is this mining post actually has exactly half of the base's total mining drills. Basically, this outpost has as many mining drills as the entire rest of everything we have.
Holy hell, man.
There are 32 mining drills in this patch.
Holy crap. That's a lot.
Yep. Let's see. I need lots of. Grab this and sit here.
Processing units are almost done.
Good. Move that.
Braking force do trains really need?
These all need to get moved back to here.
Ooh, we're gonna need that one when we can get purple going. I just saw something that I'm like, ooh, that would be handy.
Mm-hmm.
Steel productivity. That would help a lot.
Yeah, it would.
I'm seeing a lot of shit I want.
You know
And
what?
it all has purple. Crap.
There's some cool stuff behind purple science, so.
I am slowly working on getting stuff for that. What was all needed for it?
Okay, purple needs, and just so people who are playing or following along and learning, if you hit T, you activate the tech tree.
Okay.
What I do then is I find production science or the purple vial and click on it. Once I do that, it brings up the tech tree to get to it, but it also brings up on the left side of your screen the ability to mouse over various ingredients. Mouse over the purple, and you see ingredients: 30 rail, 1 electric furnace, 1 productivity module. That is for every single one. And then you get a list of various things that can make it, which are assembling machine 1, 2, and 3, and the character themselves can make it. Yeah.
Okay,
Which probably takes forever.
so we bring up the tech tree and we go to purple science, and then where do we find what's needed for that?
Okay, you see all the little boxes and list of technologies. You
Yep.
click the purple one.
Yep.
And then you go up to the giant purple vial, and you mouse over the effects. It's a little purple vial, the effects vial.
Okay, I see
Mouse
that.
over
There we
it,
are.
and that brings up your list.
Electric furnace and productivity. Okay.
This is how when I say I'm preparing for a technology, I actually will be looking at this screen, staring at what I need while I'm going through the various ingredients of this stuff in my head.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so do that.
I do have one, not requirement, but one request before, since I'm gonna kind of hold down the fort when people are going to planets and stuff. I have one request, which is once we get space platforms, if we can research the logistics network. We need white science for that, which we get after we have a space platform.
Oh shit, we just got a tech done, so okay. We can research utility. Okay, let me see what we got here and what I've got up there. Electrical distribution, I don't think that'll help our power grid. Put in power armor. It's locked behind light. Logistics network. Where are you? I want to see what makes you. I'm just gonna search it. There it is. Doesn't have logistics network. What? Are you sure it's logistics network?
Yeah, it would be. Hang on.
Logistics system?
Oh yeah, logistics system. I forget the technology as system. The actual thing once you have it is logistics network.
Yeah. Okay, that requires just white.
Yep.
It's literally the next step once we get white science.
Yep. And as soon as we're in space, you get that super easy.
Mm-hmm.
Effectively, white science is almost like the tutorial for space platforms in a way.
Okay, that can go away. Yes, so.
Okay, you are out of. I need to go forward. You're out of coal. And you've been putting coal into a box. I have an idea. Take that up. Do drills automatically put their stuff on belts?
If a belt is
Yes.
placed in front of them, yep.
Okay.
Okay, that will keep. Do that backward.
works. Make one of you. There's. I need more power grid.
Yeah, that's in part that's my fault. I can trim down my power needs a little bit down here.
I'm just joking at this point. It's not that bad.
Yeah, it's just kind of barely struggling.
Yeah, I'm not that worried about it. One of our coal things decided to run the hell
I
out, so I'm
need
like, shit,
to.
I gotta fix
Oh, yep.
this. We're gonna have to start moving belts to get some of these things more coal, but we'll deal with that in a while.
Yep.
That fixes that.
Well, as a random side note, not really related to anything. So, you guys know how I'm like working on converting my basement into kind of a rec room?
Yep.
Well, I have my popcorn popper for it. It's in the kitchen. It's
Excellent.
basically it's like the smallest it's like the smallest model I have found of like movie theater style popper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of funny because we have a larger one at work, and I just happened to ask the guy that usually makes popcorn there, just for random Friday. Hey, it's Friday. Let's have some popcorn. I asked him, how actually involved is the cleaning on these? And he was explaining it's not actually as bad as it always sounds like it would be. Um, but then he happened to mention it to another guy who what is it? His mom had gotten it as a gift, but it only got used like twice, and it was just kind of taking up space. And so it's like, hey, if you want it, I'll give you a good deal on it. So yeah, I got a movie theater style popcorn, even on a little like wheeled cart and everything.
That's pretty awesome, actually.
Yep. The only downside is now it's in my kitchen, so it's like, okay, this puts a bit of a time frame on how long can I tolerate this versus how long until I have my basement done.
Yep. Okay, that is.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is good because it forces me to actually like keep working on it.
Okay, so you are done.
Okay. How fast are we going through rocket fuel? Pretty good. We actually might get this done tonight, maybe, or get really damn close.
Yep. I will say building the rocket silo is a huge pain in the ass in terms of the amount of materials it makes. However, I will also say that unlike in vanilla Factorio, we're going to need a lot more than just one of those things. Because in regular Factorio or like vanilla, you only need one rocket silo to win the game.
Yeah.
I cannot wait until we get. I think my favorite phase of Space Age is when you get to the point where you're doing interplanetary logistics. It's like trains, but in space.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yep.
Okay. So what I actually want here. And you make that. Yes, and okay. We'll be needing more steels. Why did I do it this way? Is okay, let's do there. It doesn't hurt me at fundamental geometric level.
No.
Okay, why is plastic not here? Where is plastic?
It starts way back in this field here.
Yeah, we're out of it? Is that what I'm saying? Yeah, we don't have. Oh, when the heck did we? Oh, this is not supposed to be coal coming through.
Why are we out of it? We had
I
the
I think I see what happened here. I think there was a. Oh, there's coal coming here. That must need coal for fuel, and no, it needs coal to process things. Me. All right.
yeah,
Coal's
there we go.
been. Yeah. So.
Plastic's back.
Yeah.
Checking on the rest of this area. Looking pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I've moved up construction robots a bit. I'm debating how much do we need military 3.
They'll probably eventually want it, but it's not really a crisis or anything.
I'm sitting there looking like, when do I get in the yellow science? I think I'll get it in once rocket fuel gets done, because I also want to get power armor in there.
Power armor is nice, if nothing else, just as a convenience item.
Yeah.
It'll also allow me to, single-handedly wipe out bases while you guys are off exploring space.
That's kind of what I wanted to get going. Because if
Yep.
we can get the right modules for it, because I'm seeing some fun looking modules for it. like, I like the idea of attack drones, because there's a personal roboport thing here.
Yep.
And I'm like, being able to carry around a personal roboport with little attack drones, that sounds like everything I want to be a part of. Especially plugging that thing on a power armor, on modular power armor.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like everything I want.
You can also turn yourself into a walking like disco of death with lasers.
Insert sandstorm or brain power here.
So that's
More or less.
okay. So these three are more than enough for. These three are being fed with more than enough left over. Could up that if we really wanted to. What's more important? More increasing blue science or working towards purple? So,
Trying to think.
because I could build a third, what should we call it? I could build a third engine unit plant, or I could start making like train track, train tracks.
Well, we don't need the purple right now because it's
Yeah.
not even. If you hit T, the
Yep.
very top is the research queue on what I have it
Yeah.
research or what the queue is. I
So,
move that around.
yeah.
Purple's not even done yet.
Yeah. So probably
Fact,
blue for the moment. It looks like
yeah,
it.
we can change things around and scrap stuff later. Right now, I keep pushing military 3 back because there's other priorities I want.
Fair
I
enough.
move things around as I'm told we need them or as people want them.
Hmm. The nice thing about having kind of the tone down, we tone down the enemies, is that, there's nothing that's really super like time critical or high priority.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to do it. I still wanted to experience the enemies.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, one thing I'll be able to do with once you guys are on other planets and stuff is I'll actually be able to also send you like resupplies and things like that.
Okay.
I figure I will construct one spaceship that is effectively just kind of a freighter, more or less.
All right.
back. I need a something to drink.
Yeah. I'm currently enjoying some Buffalo Trace over here.
Here we go.
And I have returned.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Really want to somehow expand steel a bit because we're going to start eating through it as we see it.
Oh, that's why that was.
There. Down there's that. There. It's 88%. That's line 17.
You are out.
Changed out the bullets from regular to piercing in the upper turrets, which should probably help. Because if those two hives I'm worried about are pretty big. Well, okay, I technically don't know what a big hive is.
All right.
Technically don't know if those hives up there that I'm worried about are big. But they're still within proximity and look like they could mess us up. And I know what some people might be thinking. If you're worried about them, why don't you put your stuff in a chest and go look at them? Because I like my outside staying my outsides and my inside staying my insides.
You coward.
I am not a coward. I just happen to have a very healthy self-preservation instinct.
That's the same thing.
Okay, well, oh, that's probably a reason here. I'm gonna take one of our gear factories offline because we have a lot of those.
Which factory for what?
For gears,
We
Oh,
should
the assembly
really,
machine is off.
yeah, one of the two is off.
All right.
we should really kind of go through all of this and try to make it efficient. But unfortunately, the spaghetti works, and I do not want to make it angry.
You know when factories or programs or whatever have this thing that it's like, it's been this way for like 20 years. Nobody's quite brave enough to go and figure out how it's still working or why or how to make it better.
Yes.
Factorio is probably the best thing I've ever seen for teaching people this is how this happens in the real world.
Well, I fully know how it happened. Again, I'm just seeing it physically, and it's terrifying because I'm like, if I touch one thing, I could break the whole damn
Oh.
thing.
Well, it's one of those things like, so especially I've been really into like Warhammer 40K lore, and like one of the questions that always comes up for people is, you know, how do we just lose technology? How do we forget to make something that we used to be able to make? It's like, all right, I have worked with numerous things where it's like, we can't produce another one of these. Like, when this one goes out, I think just shut the lights off and go home. Or this program was written by a guy using stuff that even he barely understood 20 years ago, or in some cases 30 years ago or more. And like, he retired and he's now like nobody has contact info for him or anything like that. Or in some cases, I mean, everybody always talks about the, you know, well, what if you get it by a bus? I've worked at a place where that happened, and it's like, oh, how did any of this stuff work? If you're lucky, you can figure it out. If you're not lucky, you just basically know to reboot it and hope for the best.
Someone I talked to once equated computer programmers and software
Mm.
engineers to wizards, and it's accurate
Mm-hmm.
because if you look at if you think about someone delving through the ancient grimoires to learn the black magic to create the proper spell, that is literally what going through old code is.
Yep. And it doesn't even have to be old code. There was a program that I wrote, and it's not that I wasn't, you know, using like doing comments or doing, you know, properly formatted code or things like that. I did. But the process that it needed to do was such a complicated thing that at one point I spent over an hour explaining to somebody this is how this program works, like, or this is what this program does effectively. When I got let go from that company, basically from then until that client dropped like the company as a vendor, um, basically nobody could figure out how to fix something in that program if it broke. Like, because they let go of the person that I trained. And so, like, despite having the source code for it, basically it was a, if something gets stuck, just reset it and hope for the best. If it doesn't work, I don't know what to do, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that program operated that way for like a couple of years after I was no longer there. As like, well, we'll just reboot it and hope for the best. On the rare occasion when it broke, it actually didn't break very often, and when it did, it was inevitably due to operator error.
If I remember the analogy you used one day while we were talking while drinking, you swore because you had stated you didn't fully know how that worked. You swore that somehow that code worked through partial code, but also through some of the darkest, blackest magics.
No, that was a different program.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
That
I
program
was
was
going to bring
one.
that up in a second, but it didn't get brought up.
Yeah, that program that was a combination of bugs in a third-party library and bugs in the compiler were how that worked. Because Delphi, that was what we used for a long time. Actually, most of the time that I was there, they were using Delphi. Um, and the thing with Delphi is that it's basically there's one company that effectively just makes it. In much the same way that C# is basically a Microsoft product effectively, despite the fact that they've made it open source. Um, Delphi is, who currently owns it? Embarcadero, I think. It used to be Borland quite a while ago. And basically they after, especially after it got bought out by Embarcadero, what ended up happening is they were really bad about their compiler being buggy. Now, compiler bugs are, I mean, okay, there's buggy software and it's annoying, but you just kind of live with it. Compilers shouldn't be buggy. That is a huge problem. Imagine, okay, imagine having a defective product. Now imagine being in a factory with a defective machine. That's the difference. A defective machine, you're basically having to work around that. And Delphi was really bad about having compiler bugs, and they would never fix them. They would always say, "Oh, that's fixed in the next version." It's like the next version you're charging us another $2,000 a pop for,
Mm-hmm.
like per seat. It's
Yeah.
like, if
Yeah.
this one was crap, why should we trust you that the next one is better? Because the last three have been crap.
Yeah.
And it was even worse because a lot of the bugs were in things like what are called pointers. I don't know that I necessarily want to get into a discussion of what pointers are, but it's one of the more, I'm not going to say complicated things, but it's one of the more arcane things as far as programming goes. So it's like, it's already a really screwy thing to try and wrap your head around. Add in the fact that the compiler isn't doing it correctly, and you've just added another layer onto that. And this is why I'm insane.
I wouldn't say insane. I would say you've had problems and it has done justifiable things.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually a big part of the reason why, like, I didn't just throw up my hands and give up when I started learning LaTeX. Because I will say, LaTeX is the weirdest language I've ever. Okay, specifically, well, okay, I was working with LaTeX, but it's specifically the things from tech that are the real like brain melty, no other language works this way kind of things.
Yep.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's kind of fun once you learn it in a weird sort of way. Anyway, thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
And all this came up because Factorio is a literal game that functions just like software engineering.
It does. Actually, it's really funny if you look at a like hyper optimized factory. If you look at that, it actually looks very much like a like if you look at a like a CPU under a microscope.
Okay. So I have raised the efficiency of engine units to the point where that is no longer a slow factor.
Yeah. Well, our slow factor right now, if you click on the tech tree or go to the rocket silo up top and just click, it'll
Hmm.
bring up the technology tree. Um, Going to the giant rocket silo in the corner, the queued option,
Yep.
you can see the cost, which is 3 different technologies times 60. So that's a minute. It needs to do that 1,000 times. This is
Yep.
a slow.
Well,
All the
I
techs
was more
are
going the I need to go and make some more advanced circuitry, but you know they do that too. So,
yeah,
or
yeah.
actually,
This was full. It's now not
yeah,
full. Holy shit.
yep. I think the actual thing that we may need here is a second chemical plant.
Uh, Producing what?
Producing the was it rubber? Yeah, the
Plastic.
plastic bars. Is- That seems to be the limiting factor here.
That's gonna take some effort to set up. It
Yeah.
really is.
Well, I can get started on that then.
Well, the reason is because what you need, what you need to make plastic,
Hmm.
you can actually. It needs to come out of this big ass building here.
Yep. So, yeah, I'm thinking if I take the fuel block assembly and move that over a little bit, because we have room over here, I can then put a second plastic bar one in,
What you could also
and
do
hmm
is split off a pipe here and set one up right in here.
yeah. So I think I'll set that one over in that corner to be the fuel
It's,
blocks
yeah, the
over
nice
here,
thing,
and then I can
the nice thing
pipe the
about
stuff over this way.
the nice thing about these is you can easily just retool one of these plants without even
Yep,
moving.
yep. So kind of, kind of what I meant when I said move it, move the production over. But yep. Okay, so this is going here, and yeah, but I think I like a few. That out of the way for the moment. E. Chemical plant. Do it like this. You can do it like, no, I need to do that the other way around. That's, now, and do that. this. Okay, so that there. Then
There we go. Power has been given. How bad did that? Oh, just.
are there words in that?
Yes, I was talking half to myself.
Okay. Classic bar production has been doubled.
I was taking a look at our pollution map, and
Yeah.
that one additional plastic factory has really pushed pollution up.
Oh, it wasn't that additional factory. There's a lag time in how the pollution spreads. I like about 20 minutes ago really beefed up, actually probably more like half an hour ago, really beefed up how many mining drills I plopped down in this field over here. So that's realistically probably my doing.
I just
Because
mean,
after all, the power is coming from up there.
yeah, I just mean like the square around our little base has just turned color.
Oh,
and
yep.
the cloud is getting bigger.
Yep.
Also, aren't chemical factories one of the more pollution producing?
Refineries are. And it's not so much that the refinery itself puts out pollution, although it does quite a bit. It's that I think it's not the most power hungry building in the game, but it's one of the most power hungry buildings in the game. And producing power, depending on how you produce the power, often creates pollution.
What is? Have we encountered the most pollution producing one in the game?
I don't think so.
Okay, so that's yet to be discovered.
Well, it's also kind of a case of how you measure it. For example, are we assuming pollution with like modules, without modules, that sort of thing? Because especially if you throw like if you throw three productivity modules in, it starts to get really, really, really pollution heavy.
Let's see here. This one has 3 efficiency in it.
Okay, in that case, it's not nearly so bad.
Yeah. But I was me like just raw out of the box to raw out of the box.
I would still say it probably is. I don't know if it's the most pollution intensive. Actually, it might be now that I think about it. Actually, I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay.
Wait, no, duh. Hang on. Wait, no, I'm stupid. Mining drills. I forgot about those. mining drills are actually the most pollution intensive thing.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, an electric mining drill puts out 10 pollution per minute.
An electric is supposed to be the good one.
They actually added something even better with with Space Age. The other thing is you can't necessarily compare apples to apples. For example, like the new one does produce 4 times as much pollution. However, it actually it mines a much larger area. It mines so much faster because one of the big things to keep in mind is that pollution in Factorio is always done on a pollution per second basis.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can speed up production, you're effectively reducing pollution per per item produced.
Yeah. So if you can get rid of two, less efficient, the old drills for one new drill, you might still have a, efficiency.
Yeah.
It'd still be more efficient overall, even though the individual drill is more polluting.
Yeah, this is actually a very interesting playthrough for me because I am very much used to playing with enemies turned off because I'm much more of a mega base builder.
Mm-hmm.
So to me this is quite fascinating because the balance of what is what is the best thing to do in this situation is different, and I like that. I think that's one of my favorite things about Factorio is that just by changing, messing with some sliders or some checkboxes when building the world, you can completely change the balance in terms of what's a good idea, what's a stupid idea, what's the best idea. And I love that so much about this game. Like you can absolutely turn this into a pure tower defense game if you want to.
One of the stone drills was toast, so I moved it.
Was that?
One of your stone drills was toast, so I moved it.
Oh, up at the top. I'm actually not using them up there anymore. I disconnected from using that to make landfill because I actually have a more efficient landfill thing down here, and also you guys are using that for making other stuff. So I don't want to deplete that patch any faster than I have to. Eventually, we can. We don't technically have to, but eventually we can unlock basically infinite resources for the basic stone, coal, iron, copper.
We have a factory making walls going to a box that does. It's not putting anything in it. There's just a box sitting in front of the conveyor. What?
I wonder if there used to be something there that isn't anymore.
Um,
Oh wait, I bet I know what happened. Is it right near where the mining drills are?
No, it's near the science pack actually.
okay, so this one right here, the walls come out to this side of the underground belt, where they can be picked up by this inserter here, and are then used to make gray science, which then comes out into this bin, which it then gets inserted into the science labs on an as needed basis.
I see it now.
So
That's why there's so much military science right now, because there's not a lot of military science use.
yeah.
I don't have a lot yet. I assume that will change.
We will eventually want to make a lot of use of military science.
Yeah,
Not just for enemies either.
we're stockpiling.
Yep.
Because eventually that
In
shit's
my
going to be needed.
in my solo game, I am currently at. I think I'm in the process of researching military or energy weapon damage level 15.
Son of a bitch.
I'm doing something that is stupid, hideously inefficient, and yet I want to see it work. So I'm doing it by brute force. Basically, I want to see if I can beat the game using just lasers. That is a stupid idea. Don't try to do that, but I really want to see it work, so I'm trying it despite the fact that it's stupid. To me, most of the fun of Factorio is actually like here's a dumb idea, let's see if I can make it work.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is 4-9. It is fuck. 15 minutes left till the hour.
Yep. Okay, we're not gonna get to space tonight, it doesn't sound like.
But we're working on it. As I said,
Yep.
Rocket silences. Let's see here.
Rocket silence.
Yeah, rocket silence. Calculator. Pop up for me. So each rocket silo research takes 60 seconds. Times that needs to be done 1,000 times. That is 60,000 seconds, like I thought. Now, what is that in minutes? I think like 1,000 minutes?
You also have to take into account anything you do that's speeding up your labs.
Yeah. I'm not going.
And also the fact that you have multiple labs.
I'm not going that deep.
Well, the multiple labs, at least, you should be taking into account. Because, if you have 2 labs, it takes half as long, assuming you have both labs fully scienced.
But, okay, yeah, what I was trying to do was see how many hours it takes for one lab to do this.
Realistically speaking, if it takes you hours to research a rocket silo, you're probably doing something wrong, because by that stage in the game, you should be producing science pretty quickly.
Well, I mean at base level, because it only lists it for one lab. I'll figure out more faster.
Oh, yeah.
But 60,000 seconds divided by 60.
There's another way of looking at it, too. Click on production statistics. And somewhere in there, you'll see your various science. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is... where is it? Oh, if you hover... right. They added this recently. If you hover over where it says rocket silo, it'll actually give you an estimate on how much longer you have left. Right now, it's an hour and, it's kind of bouncing between an hour 10 and an hour and 20-ish.
Yeah, which means we'll have, next time we do this, about an hour left.
Yep. So on average, we're doing 10 science a minute. And actually, it's kind of funny. So the science per minute statistic is actually kind of a fun historical Factorio thing. So the way people used to measure their bases, for mega base builders that wanted to show off, look at how much I'm producing, they would typically use science per minute as basically their, this is a 60 science per minute base. This is a 150 science per minute base. This is 1,000 science per minute base. I will say that the 1,000 science per minute base, I don't know that my computer would actually be able to handle that. It would make a valiant effort.
Come on.
Does
Well,
it qu-
single player, it would just run as fast as it could. Multiplayer, your computer is much faster than mine, so mine would get auto kicked for not being able to keep up. Even though yours probably, well, yours probably could keep up with a factory that intense. Mine absolutely could not.
So how do I
On the other hand,
swap
that gives
which
me an
weapon I'm
excuse to
using?
upgrade. Was that?
How do I swap which weapon I'm using?
I don't remember actually.
Oh, was it X or C?
I was gonna say if you hit
C.
escape and go to settings, there should be like controls in there.
Okay.
But yeah, on the other hand, that would give me an excuse to upgrade my gaming machine because it's like it still plays all the games that I play. I don't. When most of what you play is retro, actually, when like all of what you play are retro and indie games, you don't need like a 5090 or whatever.
Yes, you do.
Actually, I wouldn't want the 50 series anyway. That's a whole mess.
Yeah, I have been reading some statistics that they're actually like
Nvidia is losing market share pretty badly on Steam right now.
yeah. No, I was reading that the 5090s were discovered to be like 15 to 20% weaker than the 40 series.
Um, I don't know if it's that they're weaker, but it's certainly not strong. Well, it also depends very much on what game you play. There is at least one or two games where I can think of off the top of my head where the 50 series is 15, what is it? 15% as fast as the 40 series. 15% as fast. This is a fun story. Do you remember like there was okay, this would have been back when I think you and I were both in college, I think. There was the Aegea physics chip,
Yeah,
and you know how that basically kind of got usurped by graphics cards?
yeah.
Well, Nvidia basically removed support for that from the 50 series, meaning if you want to play Mirror's Edge, you're playing at just a few frames a second because that's all the faster the 50 series can run it. 40 series, you're still perfectly fine, but the 50 series, it just doesn't have that anymore. So it has to do like the slower brute force method effectively.
Yeah, that was an interesting game.
I wanted to play it, but I just never did. Actually, my computer could easily handle it. I'm sure it's probably on Steam. I should just get it.
Yeah.
I think it does. But no, I was reading at one point some statistics on the 50 series, and it was saying without the AI false frame thing it does,
Yeah, the
that
hallucinated frames, I like to call them.
Yeah.
yeah, the false frames, it's actually a much weaker card.
That doesn't surprise me. And also, they still make the 60 series with like an embarrassingly little like low amount of VRAM.
60 series, don't you mean 50?
It should be called the 50 series. But now the six oh no, sorry, not series, model. So the 5060.
Yeah.
The 5060 in 2025, just soak that in. In 2025, they're releasing a GPU with 8 gig of RAM.
Well,
Hmm.
That shouldn't exist in this year.
no, especially when most things take.
I think, hang on, now I gotta look. Because I know the 1060 was available in a 3 gig and 6 gig version. What was the 1070 available with? The 1070. Okay, the 1070 had 8 gig of VRAM, which means the 5060, what, closing in on a decade later, the 5060 has as much VRAM as the 1070 did. That shouldn't happen.
One would think it wouldn't.
Now, there is a 16 gig version of the 5060, so if you're looking at a 5060, you definitely would want the 16 gig version. Realistically speaking, even though I could get away with the 8 gig because, like I said, all the things I play are retro and indie games, even though I could get away with the 8 gig, I still would take the 16 just on principle. But
Mm-hmm.
on principle, I wouldn't go for an NVIDIA card. I'd go for AMD, or honestly, I'm liking the look of Intel's recent offerings for GPUs.
I got my machine before the 1590s came out. Now I'm sitting there looking at if I ever do an upgrade, it's going to be AMD.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And the nice thing is that if you do decide to switch from NVIDIA to AMD, there actually are like free tools out there that'll let you basically clean up like the driver leftovers from NVIDIA, which
Mm-hmm.
will give you a little bit extra performance and clear out some no longer needed stuff from your computer, which is always good.
Yep.
Shit.
It's been an evening of random computer discussion. Oh, on that note, I did there is one fun benefit of doing IT for a living, is that you get to kind of poke at hardware that under normal circumstances I don't really have a reason to, have or poke at or use,
Yep.
at least not yet. So I got to do a BIOS update on a Z790 motherboard on a $6,000 engineering machine. That was
Okay.
actually kind of weirdly fun. I know it doesn't sound fun. It sounds really boring, but it was weirdly fun.
Okay. Oh, and in the event anyone is interested, um, up by our northern power plant, there is a rocket factory now. It is not fully automated, but you need rockets for whatever you may need rockets for. There is a chest with them in it now.
Aha.
Sounds good. I still use an SMG. Should be switching to rockets. Be my fun one. Take up faith. But I, for some reason, believe in shooting fast is better. My
I
brain
believe in
works
shooting once.
suppressing.
Okay. All right. Well, it is getting close to 10 o'clock, so
It is.
Yep. I'm in a good stopping point.
So am I.
yeah, I need just another minute, and then I will be. All right. I am ready whenever people are.
All right.
save, save the game, save 1 second. And now, quit the game.
Alright, well, so that's it for tonight, everyone. Hope you enjoyed, and we will see you all next time. Bye.
See ya.